Hi, welcome to the library. I'm assuming that you are here for the May wrap-up. Well, the new edition just printed, so you're just in time. Let's go over it together, shall we? Hey y'all, it's Brandy and welcome back to the Antisocials Library. Yes, so we are going over my May reads today, and I'm doing it in a little bit of a different way, okay? We're gonna go over it very cozy, very grab a cup of coffee and read the morning paper type of thing, okay? And this isn't coffee, this is alani in a mug because I don't drink coffee, so there is that. But let's look at the May edition of what will be known as The Pulse, which is the monthly newspaper edition that goes over everything that head librarian Brandy here at the Antisocials Library read in that month. Headline for this edition is a 5-star drought. Unfortunately, I didn't read any 5 stars this month. Unfortunately. It's always bad. You can have a good reading month, like I did in May, and not get a 5-star read, which is just an unfortunate thing to happen because I want to give every book I read 5 stars. I want to. I go into a book thinking it's going to be 5 stars, or at least hoping it will be, and it's just always a disappointing when that doesn't come to fruition. But yes, that is the headline for the month of May, 5-star drought. But let's go ahead and get into the other stories. I actually did continue my nonfiction reading this month. I read one nonfiction, and it was Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. I love John Green's fiction writing. I thoroughly enjoyed his writing when I was growing up, and even rereading as an adult, I personally still think it holds up. I think it's fun and a great time, and has a lot of really good commentary, and he brings that same type of writing and eloquency and commentary into his nonfiction as well with Everything is Tuberculosis. So yeah, essentially he brings in that same writing quality as well as some deep commentary about the socioeconomic struggles that people go through even today and age, and how it still affects people the way that it did back when tuberculosis and consumption was really rampant, and how it's insane that in the year of 2026, or in the year of whenever this book was written very recently, that we still have people that succumb to tuberculosis even though it is a completely treatable condition. So it was really enlightening, it was really sad, but you can tell that he's very passionate about it, and of course I love his writing, so I will definitely pick up any other John Green nonfiction that I see. Other statistics, let's just jump into the other statistics for those statistics girlies out there like me. I did read 11 books this month with 2,664 pages. It's not really a lot of pages. Again, I'm still in my audiobook era, as you can tell, with my 69.7 hours of audio. Most of the books that I read are either audio or a mixture with immersion reading. I just haven't been able to really focus while physically reading lately. I'm not really sure what that's about, but I'm still having a good time with the audiobooks. It's just I really want to get my actual physical page numbers up to meet my goal for the year. My average rating this month was a 3.7 star, which again is really, really good. I'm not upset about that rating at all. I'm mostly upset with the fact that not one of them is a 5 star. So I had a lot of 4.5s, I had a lot of 4s, and then some lower ones, but most of them were in the 4s or the 4.5s, so really can't be upset about that. I did DNF one book this month. That is something that we will talk about later. I'll tell you which one it is later when we get to that section of the paper, but I did actually DNF a book, and if you know me, it's actually kind of hard to DNF. I advocate for people to DNF. I tell people to DNF all the time. I'm like, if you don't like it, put it down. Who cares? But I don't really take my own advice. It's really hard for me to, like, just stop, because to me, I'm like, well, what if it gets better? Or, I don't know, I'm kind of a completionist in that way, and I want to finish a book, but this one just wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me, so I did DNF it, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later, okay? And like I just mentioned, my top source is audio and physical. I actually tied this month with audio and physical. I just listened to longer audiobooks than the books that I physically read, if that makes any sense. And my top genre this month is horror, which I love. I love that so much because I said I was going to get back into horror, and I'm actually doing it. And we love a girly that does what she says she's going to do. And I also need to be working on my horror bingo, which I am, and that makes me really excited. Do I think I can black out the board before September 30th? I don't know. If we continue months like this, yes. Yes. If we continue this going forward. But I do have a lot of fantasy things that I am dying to get to. So I really think the next couple of months are going to be really focused on fantasy and horror. Main story for the month of May in the Pulse is my favorite book of the month, which was This Inevitable Ruin by Matt Dinniman. And I know you're probably shocked. I know. You're sitting there and you gasped. I heard it. But the thing is I love Dungeon Crawler Carl. I know. Isn't that the most surprising news? Yeah, no, Dungeon Crawler Carl is one of my favorite series of all time so far, and so it doesn't surprise me at all that the the 7th installment in the series is my favorite so far. I am terrified to get to the 8th book. I do have it, but I kind of want to take a break just for a little bit, because 1, I'm not ready to be out of the world yet, and 2, honestly, while this was my favorite book of the month, it did leave me a little confused. I think we did a lot of jumping around. I think that Matt Dinniman tried to cram a lot of political intrigue building and this like revolutionary mindset a lot in this book, rather than like leaving the crumbs that he has been. We got a whole pie, and I don't dislike that. It's time for it to amp up. It needs to amp up. It's just, I don't know, there was a point in the middle of the book and near the end of the book that I even like stopped for a second and I was like, I'm confused. What just happened, you know? But it's still phenomenal. The writing is phenomenal. I love our characters. The ending of this book made me so sad, and I can't wait to see what happens in the 8th one, but I'm mourning the end of this one, but I did give this one a 4.5, and hopefully A Parade of Horribles will be a 5-star. Because I would love to have another 5-star Dungeon Crawler Carl. You know what I mean? While we're on the topic, let's talk about my favorite quote of the month, and that is this call out here. And it says, "These were the moments we couldn't take back, but did that truly mean there was nothing we could do to change our own fates?" And this is from Dungeon Crawler Carl. This is from Matt Dinniman, and I just love that quote. It really spoke to me, so that is my favorite quote of the month. Our other literary stories. So the 2 things that I want to call out first and foremost is that I did do a Dark Academia vlog in the month of May. It is a study in episode 1, so it's a study in Dark Academia. A study in is a vlog series that I'm going to be starting where I will be reading a certain genre for X amount of time, and it's going to be a study in that genre of new books that I haven't read of that genre yet, and just kind of seeing, it's basically a themed reading vlog, a genre themed reading vlog. But I did the episode 1, and it was a Dark Academia vlog, and the books were chosen randomly off of a spinner wheel based off of recommendations given to me by you, and it was a lot of fun. It was a chaotic one. When I was trying to film it, I had a lot of stuff happening in my life, and it just seemed really choppy, but overall, the reading that I did in it was successful. I had a really good time in the vlog, and the reading was really good, and I just love Dark Academia so much. But I will have that episode linked down below if you would like to go check it out and get some further details and thoughts on these books. But I did read 3 Dark Academia books in the month of May that were a part of this vlog. The vlog has 4 books, but the first one I read in April. But the 3 books that I read in May were Ninth House, Arcana Academy, and A Lesson in Vengeance. So again, I will have that link down below if you want to go check out that vlog. And I also wanted to call out and just talk about Marcus Kluwer. Which one is it? Someone tell me how to pronounce this man's name. I need to know. I ended up giving The Caretaker, his new release, a 4.5. And I watched the live show for Gabby from Gabby Reads' channel, because this was the Booktube pick for this quarter. And honestly, it didn't really get well received by the other hosts, which was Kayla and Ashley. Kayla from Books and Lala and Ashley from Ashley's Little Library, which I love, and most of the time I align really closely with their recommendations or what they're reading, but I completely disagree with them when it comes to The Caretaker. I really loved it. I gave it a 4.5. I think initially I ended up giving it a 4.25, but bumped it up to a 5. It didn't have that 5-star feeling, so I can't give it that 5-star, but the overall bleakness of the story and the overall pointlessness of it, I think, has more to say than it just being pointless. And I know that sounds ridiculous, and when I'm saying it out loud, it like makes it sound really stupid, but basically the book, you are following a person who is down on her luck and very poor, and she takes this opportunity she takes this ad that she sees on Craigslist, and she calls to become a caretaker for the weekend at this really rich house in this really rich neighborhood. And she gets there, and the owner is like, yes, I'm going out of town, but there are these like really strange things that you have to do in order to keep the house maintained for the weekend, but don't worry, because I'm going to give you like $9,000. And the girl's like, our main character is like, holy crap, that is life-changing money to me right now, considering I'm about to be evicted. And she's taking care of her younger sister, which I will say the sister relationship between them is phenomenal. I love the way that that development happened throughout the book. But anyway, she ends up being like, well, this is weird and I really shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna, because if I didn't, well, then there wouldn't be a book, first of all, and two, I need the money. So she's here at this estate and she's doing these weird rituals, and the rituals kind of include turning the lights off after a certain time. If the lights automatically turn off, you have to turn them off. If the lights accidentally turn on, then you have to turn them off at a certain time. Or you have to lock the door at this point. And just these really almost mundane, kind of silly rituals. But if you miss one, or if you're late to one, then horrible things start to happen in succession. And I just think that the commentary on mental illnesses, or like things like OCD and depression and maybe even suicidal ideation, these things that plague so many people but still have to live in their everyday lives like as if they don't have these thoughts or these compulsions. I think that was the horror of the book, and I think it was done really well. I can't say as to the OCD representation because I personally don't have OCD, but as for the other things, I think it was done really well. I think the representation was great, and I think the point of the novel is that there is no point, you know? And sometimes bad things just happen to you, and you are, instead of being an active participant in the things that could change the bad things, sometimes people just let bad things happen to themselves, you know? Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. I loved it. I gave it a 4.5. I think that it's worth checking out, but it is weird. It's not like We Used to Live Here. It is weird and just a trip, but I personally think it was incredible. All right, well, let's turn the page to page 2 and move on with the Pulse debrief. All right, so on page 2, we have some other stories and the end of the wrap-up, so let's just kind of get into it. The first thing that I want to get into is my TBR. And as the article headline says, it skyrocketed. I was insane in the month of May. I was insane. I blacked out in the bookstore multiple times. On multiple trips, I went into the bookstore and left forgetting what just happened. So I don't know if that was a mental compensation from like retail therapy or what, but I bought a lot of books in the month of May. So I ended up buying or acquiring a total of 25 books in the month of May, and I'm really only unhauling 3 or 4, I can't remember, but it's crazy. The TBR is TBRing, and what the worst part is that I absolutely went into 2026 saying I'm going to read my physical TBR. I said I wasn't going to buy any more books for Horror Bingo, I wasn't going to buy any more books for any type of challenges or TBR prompts, I was going to shop my shelves, and then I decided to just expand my shelves anyway. I don't know. The biggest thing I want to call out from this page is my most beautiful cover, because my most beautiful cover of the month of May is absolutely We Call Them Witches. And We Call Them Witches, the standard edition with the fox, is absolutely remarkably stunning. I love it so much. And then the Evernight edition that I personally have, that I own, it is stunning as well. Don't get me wrong. I love the end pages and everything. It's beautiful. But the standard print edition with the fox is absolutely stunning. Here's the thing though. It is my most beautiful book, but it actually doubles as my least favorite book as well. So I ended up giving We Call Them Witches 2 stars. I really didn't like it. It was my buddy read for Horror Bingo. Me and Amanda read it together, and we both didn't really like it. I mean, I read it really quickly. It was a very fast read, but I genuinely think the story was boring. It was boring. That's the main thing I can say about it. So in the story, you are following a family in this post-apocalyptic world, and it's apocalyptic because of these creatures that they call witches have basically taken over, and you have to set up these wards and do these like very folklore rituals in order to stay safe. And they find this family finds this like piece of farmland, and they're living on this farmland like really easily. Then they find a girl outside of their wards and they take her in, and just crazy things start to happen from there. But one of the things that I really didn't like about this is that we were being told that their life was like really hard and awful, and that the world was so apocalyptic, but like it was giving very much The Walking Dead Alexandria vibes. Like, you're in a safe place, you have food, you have peace, you make your own food with the vegetables, and like you have a family. And I just, understanding that the post-apocalyptic part is the horrifying part, obviously, but we were being told that they were still struggling, and like I just didn't see that. I think that they set up a really nice life for themselves, and I just think that being told that they were in danger every step of the way when they weren't. Like, we barely even saw the witches until like the very end. You know? I will say what's really creepy about the setup of this story is that the witches sounded like screaming like foxes, which like sound like women. And so they sound like they're screaming outside of their home pretty much all the time, and that does sound really eerie and horrifying. But outside of that, it just didn't do anything for me, and I didn't like the ending. Let's talk about the obits. R.I.P. Rest in peace, my DNF. So this is the book that I didn't finish this month. It is Red Scholar's Wake, which is a shame because it was also a buddy read. I was reading with my friend Sam, and I'm not sure if she ever ended up finishing it. I know that she was kind of struggling with it as well. But this is basically a sapphic love story between a sentient spaceship and a woman who is in like a arranged marriage with this spaceship. And the premise actually sounds really interesting to me. I am trying to get into sci-fi. You know, I'm trying to dip my toes into it, and I'm having a good time with sci-fi, but this just didn't do it for me. Didn't like it. Hated the writing. Genuinely didn't care about the writing. And I was confused, like, so much of it. And I just didn't like it so much that I decided to put it down, which is crazy. So this is my obit. This is The Red Scholar's Wake. Again, R.I.P. I hope you find a good home on Pango. Really quickly, let's go through the Pulse Monthly Awards. These are basically like my little rewards that I like to give out to each book of the month based off of certain categories. The first one being The Unexpected Bite, which is my most surprising book of the month, and that is actually Arcana Academy. I read Arcana Academy and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was a part of that Dark Academia vlog, and I didn't think that I was really gonna like it because it has such a emphasis on a romance when giving the premise, but genuinely the romance really wasn't the biggest part of it, and it actually was my least favorite part of the story. But the plot and the ending, I loved it. It is absolutely the most surprising. I ended up giving a 4.25 or 4.5. The next one being Back to the Crypt. This was my most disappointing. This is Get Back in the Crypt. I don't want to see you ever again. And that is A Lesson in Vengeance. Also read during the Dark Academia vlog. So you can see the dichotomy that happened in that vlog. I did not like A Lesson in Vengeance. I talked about it ad nauseum in that vlog, so I won't get into it too much here. But basically, I thought it was convenient. I thought the writing was incredible. But the story that we got was boring and predictable. And if you like a story that is about prestigious, annoying little kids who think they're better than everyone else in an academic setting, then you should read A Secret History or Bunny. Not this. Get Me a Vein, that is my favorite character. Get Me a Vein. I'm sucking the blood. I'm a vampire and I want that blood from that character. Get Me a Vein. And obviously it's Donut. It's Donut from Dungeon Crawler Carl. I thought about putting Carl in here, but no. Princess Donut is absolutely the best character. I love her so much. Love the character development that's happening with her throughout the series so far too. It's really been great watching her grow, and I love her so much and I can't wait to get back into the world. Dracula is blushing. So this is, even Dracula is blushing. Like, this is the best romance. This is the book that had the best romance plot in it, subplot in it. And again, I'm gonna say Arcana Academy. Again, I didn't like the romance in Arcana Academy. I thought it left wanting. I didn't think that it gave what it was trying to give, but out of everything I read, that was the best romance subplot. So I'll just leave it at that. And then Van Helsing is armed. This is the scariest book. This is something that if Van Helsing read, he would get his pitchfork, bow and arrow, and he would be armed because he doesn't want to deal with that horrors ever again. Man, Fuck This House by Brian Osmond. I ended up really, I liked this book. I gave it a 3.5, I believe, but didn't love the plot, didn't really like the ending and how it ended out, but the actual horror that was happening in it, it's a haunted house story, it was creepy. It actually creeped me out, so I'm gonna say that this was the scariest book of the month. Alright, so here are the total books that I read in the month of May, just a snippet of them all. Let's review them really quickly. Ninth House, again, a part of that Dark Academia vlog, I gave 4 stars. A Lesson in Vengeance, I gave 2. The Hollow Places, I read on my Kindle and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It again was for horror bingo for liminal spaces, and I am so glad I picked that one up. I gave that a 4 star and I love T. Kingfisher now. The Eye of the Bedlam Bride, which is the 6th book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, I gave a 4.5. Everything is Tuberculosis. I don't rate nonfiction in general, but I would give this a highly recommend. Arcana Academy, I gave 4 stars, or I think I'm probably going to bump it up to a 4.5 or a 4.25 because I really did enjoy it, but we'll leave it at 4 stars for now. We Call Them Witches, the other 2 star of the month. Again, it was my least favorite book of the month. Caretaker, I gave a 4.5. Again, had a lot of 4.5 this month. Nothing that broke the 5-star barrier, but I thoroughly enjoyed The Caretaker. Man, Fuck This House, I gave a 3.5, like I said. I did read Japanese Gothic this month. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought the writing, again, is incredible. I love Kylie Lee Baker's, and I love a dual timeline because you are following a character in samurai era Japan, and then as well as a main character in modern day Japan, and how their lives kind of intersect in this house that he lives in. And I think it went a little crazy near the end, but overall it was a really great time and I would highly recommend it. And then of course, I don't want to get too far into The Inevitable Ruin again, but I did give it a 4.5, and again, it was my favorite book of the month. And just really quickly, where I got the books, here's some stats. I owned 5% of them already. I borrowed one from the library, The Hollow Places. I personally bought 4 of these books, so out of the 25 books that I bought this month, 4 of them I read, and then 2 of them I got from a book box, which also accounts for in that 25 hauled books for the month. So 6 of them that I hauled in the month of May, I actually read them, which I don't think is awful. I don't think that's bad. So I'm not upset about that. The overall consensus for the month, however, is that the monthly bite was unsuccessful. So for my May TBR, I did not read everything I needed to read for the monthly bite. So I will get a cursed coin in June, which that TBR will already be up. So I will have that link down below so you can watch that as well if you have missed it. But yeah, this is the pulse. This is how we're going to do our wrap-ups going forward. We're going to grab a cup of coffee and go over the morning paper together. And I hope you enjoy it. I hope it's different. It's just a different way for me to go through the highlights and the lowlights and just my overall thoughts without having to sit down and just like go through every book in kind of that boring way. This is more fun for me, so I hope it was fun for you. If I will have this link down below as well if you would like to read it, the PDF version of it. It was really fun to make and I'm having a really great time with it. So again, thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, go down below and leave a newspaper emoji or writing emoji to let me know that you were here. And while you're down there, don't forget to like and subscribe, and you can hit that little notification bell so that you get notified the next time that I post. And as always, just remember to read well and rest well, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!